Today I'm going to show you how to make these easy 3-ingredient hot rolls. Welcome y'all to Robin on the Farm. Today I'm making these really simple 3-ingredient hot rolls. These are so good and so easy to make. There's no yeast, no eggs, no butter, no oil. They're super simple. And you don't need a bread machine, you don't need a mixer, you just need a bowl and something to mix them up with, and you are good to go. You can make these. These are great when you're in a pinch for dinner, you're running short on time, and you need to beef up your dinner a little bit. You can have these ready in about 20 to 30 minutes. So this is a great recipe to know how to make. The 3 ingredients that you need to make this recipe is self-rising flour, milk, and some mayonnaise. Now, mayonnaise might sound like a weird ingredient for these rolls, but mayonnaise is basically just egg, oil, and vinegar. That's all it is. And there are some fantastic cake recipes out there that call for mayonnaise. It just gives you a really nice moist cake, and it's gonna do the same thing for our rolls today. So definitely give this recipe a try. Now, if you don't have any self-rising flour, don't worry. I'm gonna show you how to make your own self-rising flour using just all-purpose flour, baking powder, and salt. That's all it is. So if you're like me and hardly ever have self-rising flour in your pantry, then you can just easily put these 3 ingredients together and make your own. And all it is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm just gonna add that right into my bowl. So 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To my all-purpose flour, I'm gonna add some baking powder, not to be confused with baking soda. Baking soda won't work as well. So definitely use baking powder. Now I'm gonna use 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Just put that right on in there. And to that, I'm gonna add some salt. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt. This is my Redmond's real salt. I love this for my baking. But I'm gonna pour this not over my bowl because I'll make a mess and over pour, and then your ingredients are gonna be ruined. So definitely don't pour over your bowl. So I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt to the baking powder and to the all-purpose flour. Now I'm just gonna whisk these ingredients together and just let it all get incorporated. I'm using my Danish dough whisk. I love these Danish dough whisks. This is such a cool design, and I like them way better than just your traditional kitchen whisk. But you can use anything that you have. Now, this is just like if we had self-rising flour on hand. So if you have self-rising flour, add 2 cups of self-rising flour to your bowl and don't worry about these other 2 ingredients that I just used. And our next ingredient is mayonnaise. It really doesn't matter what brand you use. You can even use the reduced fat. I've never used the fat-free mayonnaise though, so I'm not sure if that would work as well, but I bet it would. Now I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. So I'm just gonna put this right on in there over my self-rising flour. And our very last ingredient is the milk. We want 1 cup of milk. This is just nice cold milk straight from the fridge. So I like to use whole milk, but you can definitely use a milk alternative or 2% or 1%. Even skim milk will work well, but I like the full fat version of that. So just add that all to your bowl, all at the same time. No need to mix in the mayonnaise first or anything like that. Just add all 3 of these ingredients into your bowl. I'm gonna use my Danish dough whisk again, and I'm just gonna mix these ingredients around. You don't wanna overmix this dough or this batter, because that can give you a little bit tough rolls. So you just wanna mix it up just until there's no dry patches of flour left. And so this is what mine looks like, and I only mixed it up for 15 or 20 seconds. That's all it took. I like to bake these rolls in my muffin pans. You can use any muffin pan that you have, but I love my Lodge cast iron muffin pans. Aren't these beautiful? They're such heirloom quality. I'm gonna definitely be passing these on to my kids one day because these are gonna last forever. I also love that there's none of those coatings to get into our foods, so I really prefer using cast iron over any other kind of baking pan or material. So, like I said, you can use any kind of muffin pan that you want, but I'm gonna use these. Definitely spray them. I always pour a little bit of oil into each of these wells, and I rub it around with a paper towel and well oil it. I don't think that the spray quite does enough for cast iron. So for this recipe, this makes 12 small hot rolls. If you want to, you can make this same amount into 6 and just bake them for a little bit longer, but I like to do 12 rolls out of this recipe. And I always use my 3 tablespoon cookie scoop, and I just scoop them in and put them in. If you don't have one of these, you can use a 1/4 cup. So I'm just gonna take this dough or this batter, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just plop it into each well of my muffin pans. And it's so easy and it's so fast. And it's really kind of mess-free. I like that too. And when you're using this kind of cookie scoop, if you just level them out on the top, then you're gonna have the exact right amount when you're all done with all 12. Now, I forgot to mention that before you even get started on this recipe, you wanna go ahead and preheat your oven to 375 degrees. If you don't get that started right when you start these rolls, you are gonna be waiting on your oven because these are so quick to put together. Now I have my muffin pans filled and it's time to throw these rolls into the oven to bake. Now I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees and I'm gonna let these bake for 20 minutes. Now if you're using a different kind of muffin pan, you might wanna start checking on those a few minutes before that so that they don't burn. But I'm using cast iron and nothing burns in these. So I'm gonna let them go for 20 minutes and then I'll show them to you when they're ready. Look how great our 3-ingredient hot rolls look. They are fresh from the oven. I let them bake for 20 minutes and they look perfect to me. Now, this is totally optional, but I just put about a half a tablespoon of butter into my melting pot, popped it on the stove, and now I have some melted butter. And I'm just gonna brush a little bit of melted butter onto each one of these hot rolls. And that'll just make them that much better, but this is totally optional. Now these do look a little bit like drop biscuits and muffins because they're made in a muffin pan, but I call these rolls because the inside is a lot more like a roll than a biscuit. You can call them whatever you want because whatever you call them, they still are delicious. Now that I have these all brushed with butter, let's go ahead and check one out. Just came out really nicely from my cast iron loaf pan because I oiled it up so well. Now look at this great little hot roll. This is the perfect size to me. And like I said, you can use the same amount and just make 6 and make bigger ones and just let them bake for about 2 or 3 more minutes. But this looks fantastic to me. So let's go ahead and check out the inside. Yep, see how that looks like a roll on the inside? This is why I call them rolls. But 3-ingredient hot rolls, they look perfect and they're ready in just about 25 minutes from start to finish. So I love that about these rolls. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bite. These are so good. They're so fast and easy, but also if you're just learning how to bake, these are way easier than yeast rolls and way faster. So this is a great recipe to try out. I'll leave the printable recipe down in the description. Give these a try. Let me know if you like them. Thanks so much for being here with me on Robin on the Farm. I'll see you next time.
Robin's in the kitchen, dough beneath her hands, wheat from the fields and eggs from her land. Sunlight through the window, a warm golden glow. She's working hard to make that dough.